Look down at your feet right now. There is a very good chance you are wearing a product that was built on a foundation of corporate espionage, psychological manipulation, and a ruthless pursuit of dominance that would make a Wall Street sociopath blush. You know the slogan. Just do it. You know the logo. The swoosh. It is universally recognized as a symbol of athletic excellence, perseverance, and achieving your dreams. But behind the multi-billion-dollar empire, behind the inspirational commercials featuring your favorite athletes, lies a history so cutthroat that it completely redefines the concept of business ethics. This isn't just about selling sneakers. This is a masterclass in dark psychology, a blueprint of how to brainwash a culture, crush competitors into absolute dust, and make the entire world thank you for the privilege of handing over their money. We are going to peel back the polished marketing veneer of the most powerful apparel brand on the planet to reveal the calculated, often brutal tactics that forged the Nike empire. Forget the hero's journey you've been sold. The real story begins with a staggering act of betrayal. In the 1960s, a young Phil Knight wasn't the emperor of a sportswear monopoly. He was a guy selling Japanese running shoes out of the trunk of his green Plymouth Valiant. His company was called Blue Ribbon Sports, and he had secured the exclusive rights to distribute Onitsuka Tiger shoes in the United States. For years, he built a market for them, establishing relationships with track coaches and athletes, laying the groundwork for what would become a massive industry. But Knight was ambitious, and ambition at that level rarely leaves room for loyalty. As Blue Ribbon Sports grew, Knight secretly began plotting against the very partners who had given him his start. While still acting as Onitsuka's trusted distributor, he was covertly designing his own shoe, manufacturing his own apparel, and preparing to steal the entire distribution network he had built using Onitsuka's money and product. When the Japanese executives finally figured out they were being played, it was a messy, bitter divorce that ended in lawsuits and shattered trust. But Knight had already won. He had used Onitsuka as an incubator, extracting all their value, learning their manufacturing secrets, and then discarding them the moment he had a viable alternative. This wasn't just a pivot, it was a calculated hijacking, and it set the psychological tone for everything Nike would become. If you want to dominate, you cannot be a victim of your own morality. You must be willing to smile in someone's face while quietly sharpening the knife. Stealing a supply chain was only step one. To truly conquer the market, Nike needed to conquer the human mind. In the 1980s, Reebok and Adidas were formidable giants, and Nike was locked in a brutal war for market share. This is where Nike deployed its most potent psychological weapon, the cult of personality. Before Nike, athletes endorsed products, sure, but it was transactional. Buy this cereal because I eat it? Nike changed the paradigm. They realized that people don't buy shoes, they buy identity. They buy a feeling. When Nike signed Michael Jordan, they didn't just give him a shoe deal. They weaponized his aura. The genius of the Air Jordan campaign wasn't highlighting the leather or the air bubble, it was selling the illusion of greatness. The underlying psychological message was insidious but brilliant. Without these shoes, you are inadequate. With them, you are Jordan. They created a profound sense of lack in the consumer, a void that could only be filled by handing over $100 for a pair of sneakers. They deliberately manipulated the teenage psyche, tapping into the deep-seated human desire for status and belonging. It worked so well that it created a literal frenzy. Kids were getting mugged, sometimes even killed, for their Air Jordans. Did Nike step back, horrified by the violence their marketing had incited? No. From a dark psychology perspective, the violence was the ultimate proof of value. If people are willing to die for your product, you have achieved absolute brand supremacy. They capitalized on the artificial scarcity, dropping limited releases to trigger the fear of missing out, conditioning consumers like Pavlov's dogs to line up around blocks in the freezing cold just for the chance to give Nike their money. It is a textbook manipulation of the dopamine system, turning consumers into addicts craving the next drop. But while Nike was meticulously crafting an image of empowerment and athletic triumph in the West, they were hiding a horrifying reality in the East. The dark heart of Nike's ruthless efficiency lay in its supply chain. To maximize profits and fund their billion-dollar marketing campaigns, Nike relentlessly pursued the cheapest labor possible. They outsourced manufacturing to countries with virtually no labor laws, creating a sprawling network of sweatshops across Asia. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate corporate strategy. While Phil Knight was becoming a billionaire and Michael Jordan was soaring through the air, the people actually making the shoes were living in abject poverty. We are talking about women and children working grueling 80-hour weeks in sweltering, toxic factories, earning literal pennies a day. There were reports of physical abuse, forced overtime, and environments so dangerous that workers were regularly passing out from the chemical fumes of the glue used to bind the soles of the shoes. This is the ultimate cognitive dissonance of the Nike empire. Selling empowerment to Americans while systematically exploiting the most vulnerable populations on the planet. When investigative journalists finally exposed this brutal reality in the 1990s, it triggered a massive public relations crisis. Protests erupted, boycotts were organized, and the golden swoosh was suddenly tarnished with the stain of human rights abuses. How did Nike survive this? Did they overhaul their entire business model? No. They engaged in a masterclass of corporate gaslighting and psychological deflection. They initially denied responsibility, claiming they didn't own the factories, and therefore couldn't control the conditions. It was a staggering abdication of moral responsibility. When the public didn't buy that excuse, Nike pivoted to a highly publicized, carefully orchestrated campaign of superficial transparency. They created a code of conduct, hired PR firms to flood the media with stories of their new ethical initiatives, and essentially buried the outrage under a mountain of corporate doublespeak. They didn't fix the fundamental exploitation of cheap labor. They just got much better at hiding it and managing the optics. They realized that the public's memory is incredibly short. And if you distract them with a flashy new commercial featuring a beloved athlete talking about social justice, they will forget about the sweatshops. It was a cynical, deeply psychological maneuver that relied on the apathy and hypocrisy of the modern consumer. And the darkest part? It worked perfectly. Today, Nike is more powerful than ever. Their internal corporate culture is famously cutthroat, described by insiders as a relentless, dog-eat-dog environment where only the most aggressive survive. Even their famous slogan is a masterstroke of psychological framing. It bypasses the rational mind, appealing directly to impulse. It tells you to stop questioning and simply consume. And we do. We look at the swoosh and see victory. But that image is an illusion. A carefully constructed mirage designed to obscure a foundation built on predatory business practices. They haven't just conquered the market. They have conquered our conscience. So, the next time you lace up a pair of their sneakers, take a moment to consider exactly what you are stepping into.